Section 8. Sexuality. Introduction. In this lecture, we would consider sexuality, sexual orientation, and sexual disorders. Objectives. At the end of this lecture, students should be able to explain human sexuality, to know various sexual disorders and orientation. Content. Human sexuality is the capacity to have erotic experiences and responses. Human sexuality can also refer to the way someone is sexually attracted to another person, whether it is to the opposite sex, heterosexuality, to the same sex, homosexuality, to either sex, bisexuality, to all gender identities, pansexuality, or not being attracted to anyone in a sexual manner, asexuality. Human sexuality imparts cultural, political, legal, and philosophical aspects of life. It can refer to issues of morality, ethics, theologies, spirituality, or religion. It is not, however, directly tied to gender. Some cultures have been described as sexually repressive. Interest in sexual activity typically increases when an individual reaches puberty. Some researchers assume that sexual behavior is determined by genetics, and others assert that it is molded by the environment. It is the nature versus nurture debate, in which one can define nature as those behavioral traits that are due to innate characteristics such as instincts and drives. The concept of nurture can be defined as the environmental factors or external stimuli that influence behavior, emotions, and thinking. Biological and physical differences include the human sexual response cycle among men and women. What factors motivate our sexual behavior? We do not need sex for everyday survival the way we need food and water, but we do need it for the survival of the species. Like hunger, sex has a strong psychological basis, as well as cognitive and sociocultural components. Human sexual behavior, driven by the desire for pleasure, encompasses the search for a partner or partners. Interactions between individuals, physical, emotional, intimacy, and sexual contact that may lead to foreplay, masturbation, and ultimately orgasm. Human sexual behavior refers to the manner in which humans experience and express their sexuality. People engage in a variety of sexual acts from time to time and for a wide variety of reasons. Sexual activity normally results in sexual arousal and psychological changes in the aroused person, some of which are pronounced while others are more subtle. Sexual activity also includes conduct and activities which are intended to arouse the sexual interest of another, such as strategies to find or attract partners, mating and display behavior, and personal interactions between individuals, such as flirting and foreplay. The brain. The brain is the structure that translates nerve impulses from the skin into pleasurable sensations. It controls nerves and muscles used during sexual behavior. The brain regulates the release of hormones. It is believed the physical origin of our sexual desires. The cerebral cortex, which is the outer layer of the brain, allows for thinking and reasoning. It is also the believed physical origin of sexual thoughts and fantasies. Beneath the cortex is the limbic system, which consists of the amygdala, hippocampus, cingulate gyrus, and septal area. These structures are where emotions and feelings are believed to originate from and are important for sexual behavior. The hypothalamus is the most important part of the brain for sexual functioning. This is the small area at the base of the brain consisting of several groups of nerve cell bodies that receives input from the limbic system. Studies have shown that within lab animals, destruction of certain areas of the hypothalamus causes complete elimination of sexual behavior. One of the reasons for the importance of the hypothalamus is its relation to the pituitary gland, which lies right beneath it. The pituitary gland secretes hormones that are produced in the hypothalamus and itself. The four important sexual hormones that are secreted are oxytocin, prolactin, follicle-stimulating hormone, and luteinizing hormone. Oxytocin is also known as the hormone of love. Oxytocin is released in both men and women during sexual intercourse when an orgasm is established. It is believed that oxytocin is involved with maintaining close relationships. The hormone is also released in women when they give birth or are breastfeeding. Both prolactin and oxytocin stimulate milk production in women. Follicle-stimulating hormone, FHS, is responsible for ovulation in women by triggering egg maturity, and in men, it stimulates sperm production. Luteinizing hormone, LH, triggers ovulation, which is the release of a mature egg. The human sexual response pattern, sexual cycle. What psychological changes do humans experience during sexual activity? To answer this question, gynecologist William Masters and his colleague Virginia Johnson, 1966, carefully observed and measured the psychological responses of 382 female and 312 male volunteers as they masturbated or had sexual intercourse. The human sexual response pattern consists of 4 phases: excitement, plateau, orgasm, and resolution. As identified, the excitement phase begins erotic responsiveness. It lasts from several minutes to several hours, depending on the nature of the sex play involved. Engorgement of blood vessels and increased blood flow in genital areas and muscle tension characterize the excitement phase. The most obvious signs of response in this phase are lubrication of the vagina and partial erection of the penis. The second phase of the human sexual response, called the plateau phase, is a continuation and heightening of the arousal began in the excitement phase. The increase in breathing, pulse rate, and blood pressure that occurred during the excitement phase become more intense, penile erection and vaginal lubrication are more complete, and orgasm is closer. The third phase of the human sexual response cycle is orgasm. How long does orgasm last? Some individuals sense that time is standing still when it takes place, but orgasm lasts for only about 3 to 15 seconds. Orgasm involves an explosive discharge of neuromuscular tension and an intense pleasurable feeling. However, orgasms are not all alike. For example, females show 3 different patterns in the orgasm phase: multiple orgasms, no orgasm, and excitement rapidly leading to orgasm. By passing the plateau phase, this pattern most clearly corresponds to the male pattern in intensity and resolution. Following orgasm, the individual enters the resolution phase, in which blood vessels return to their normal state. One difference between males and females in this phase is that females may be stimulated to orgasm again without delay. Males enter a refractory period, lasting anywhere from several minutes to a day, in which they cannot have another orgasm. The length of the refractory period increases as men age. Cognitive and sensory perceptual factors. From experience, we know that our cognitive world plays an important role in our sexuality. Cruz and Bauer, 2002. We have the cognitive capacity to think about the importance of not raping or inflicting sexual harm on others. We also have the cognitive capacity to generate sexual images. For example, some individuals become sexually aroused by generating erotic images and even reach orgasm while they are having fantasy images of sex. Whipple, Ogden, and Komisaruk, 1992. Sexual motivation is influenced by sexual scripts, stereotyped patterns of expectancies. It is not such an automatic thing. Cognitive interpretation of sexual activity also involves our perception of the individual with whom we are having sex and his or her perception of us. Part B of Section 8. We imbue our sexual art with such perceptual questions as the following. Is he loyal to me? What is our future relationship going to be like? How important is sex to her? What if she gets pregnant? Amid the wash of hormones in sexual activity is the cognitive ability to control, reason about, and try to make sense of the activity. Along with cognitive factors, sensory perceptual factors are involved in sexual behavior. The sensory system of touch usually predominates during sexual intimacy, but vision also plays an important role for some individuals. Brown, Steele, and Wash, Schilder, 2002. Men and women differ in how much touch and visual stimulation motivate them sexually. In general, women are more aroused by touch, men by what they see. This might explain why erotic magazines and movies are directed more toward males than toward females. Manning, 1986. Women are more aroused by tender, loving touches that are coupled with verbal expressions of love than men are. Moreover, men are likely to become sexually aroused quickly, whereas women's sexual arousal tends to build gradually. Cultural factors. Sexual motivation also is influenced by cultural factors. McAnulty and Burnett, 2004, Tolman and Diamond, 2003. The range of sexual values across cultures is substantial. Some cultures consider sexual pleasures to be normal or desirable. Other cultures view sexual pleasure as weird or abnormal. We would consider the people who live on the small island of Innis Beach off the coast of Ireland to be among the most sexually repressed people in the world. They know nothing about tongue kissing or hand stimulation of the penis, and they detest nudity. For both females and males, premarital sex is out of the question. Men avoid most sexual experiences because they believe that sexual intercourse reduces their energy level and is bad for their health. Under these repressive conditions, sexual intercourse occurs only at night and takes place as quickly as possible as the husband opens his nightclothes under the covers and the wife raises a nightgown. As you might suspect, female orgasm is rare in this culture. Messinger, 1971. In contrast, the Magean culture in the South Pacific seems promiscuous to us. In Magea, young boys are taught about masturbation and are encouraged to engage in it as much as they like. At age 13, the boys undergo a ritual that initiates them into sexual manhood. First, their elders instruct them about sexual strategies, including how to aid their female partner in having orgasms. Then, 2 weeks later, the boy has intercourse with an experienced woman who helps him hold back ejaculation until she can achieve orgasm with him. By the end of adolescence, Magians have sex pretty much every day. Magian women report a high frequency of orgasm. Content: sexual dysfunction and sexual problems. Men and women have many sexual problems which frequently arise because of other problems within a relationship or simply because of individual differences. These differences consist of differences in expectations, assumptions, desire, preferred behavior, and relationship conflicts. Although these differences create sexual problems in both men and women, problems amongst men and women are different. The World Health Organization's international classifications of diseases define sexual problems as the various ways in which an individual is unable to participate in a sexual relationship as he or she would wish. Sexual disorders, according to the DSM-IVTR, are disturbances in sexual desire and psychophysiological changes that characterize the sexual response cycle and cause marked distress and interpersonal difficulty. There are 4 major categories of sexual problems: desire disorders, arousal disorders, orgasmic disorders, and sexual pain disorders. Hypoactive sexual desire, low sexual drive, hypoactive sexual desire at the excitement phase, low sexual drive, sexual aversion at the excitement phase, anticipation of any kind of sexual aversion interactions, anticipation of any kind of sexual arousal disorder, great anxiety. In men, erectile arousal disorder. In women, men, the difficulty of becoming aroused. In women, orgasmic difficulty of becoming aroused. Premature orgasmic disorders. In men, ejaculatory premature ejaculation. In women, ejaculatory inability to have an orgasm. In women, hypersexuality to have an orgasm. Sexual addiction. hypersexuality disorders, sexual addiction in men, sexual pain disorders, 4 different disorders in men. A. 4 dyspareunia disorders, pain during intercourse, dyspareunia, physical pain during intercourse. B. Due to ejaculatory syndrome, pain. B. Genital post-ejaculatory syndrome, orgasm, pain in the genital during or after orgasm, prolonged C. erection, priapism. D. prolonged cephalgia. D. Migraine headaches during and after orgasm. Migraine headaches during women and after orgasm. 3 different disorders. 2. A. Women. Dyspareunia. 3 different disorders. Recurrent genital pain. Dyspareunia. Recurrent genital pain during intercourse. Vagina involuntarily closes. Vaginismus. C. Vagina non-coital sexual pain disorder. C. Genital pain due to arousal disorder. Genital pain due to arousal. Sexually transmitted infections. Sexually transmitted infections, STIs, are bacterial, viral, or parasitic infections that are spread mainly by sexual activity, including vagina and anal intercourse and oral genital contact. Many people cannot tell that their partner has an STI because many are asymptomatic, showing no symptoms. Anyone that is engaging in sexual activity is at risk for contracting STIs, but the risk can be minimized by safe sex practices, such as using condoms. Many people believe that STIs are retributions for having premarital or immoral sex, sometimes linking these beliefs with religious prohibitions. Chlamydia, herpes simplex viruses, human papillomavirus, HPV, gonorrhea, HIV/AIDS. This is the end of section 8. Thanks for listening.